Hey everybody, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at a really interesting book. It's called The Key to Solomon's Key by Milo Duquette.
Oh yeah, I've heard of him.
Now you might recognize Duquette from some of his other work, like The Chicken Kabbalah of Rabbi Lamed Ben Clifford.
That's a unique title.
It really is. Or maybe you've heard of his book, My Life with the Spirits, which is about his experiences as a, practicing magician.
Yeah, so in this book, he's basically giving us his take on Solomon's Key, which is kind of this idea of unlocking hidden knowledge and spiritual potential.
Right. And he's coming at it from a really unique perspective because he's both a Freemason and a magician.
So he's got like this inside view of these traditions that are often, shrouded in secrecy and misunderstanding.
Exactly. It's like he's giving us a backstage pass to these secret societies and explaining what all the rituals and symbols actually mean.
And he's not speaking for any particular organization. He's just sharing his own personal journey and interpretation.
Before we jump into the book itself, I think it's worth mentioning that thing I was telling you about, that crypto sculpture at the CIA headquarters.
Oh, yeah, the one with the code that's only been partially cracked.
Yeah, it's like a real-life mystery that's been going on for decades.
It's crazy how even in the modern world, we're still drawn to these hidden messages and the idea of unlocking secret knowledge.
And that's what's so cool about Duquette's book. He actually connects this contemporary mystery to the concept of Solomon's Key.
He's suggesting it's not just about literal codes, but about those inner keys we need to unlock our own potential.
Exactly. Okay, so we've got magic Freemasons, ancient secrets, maybe even a connection to modern-day mysteries. Where do we even begin with all this?
Well, Duquette actually starts with his own personal story, which is surprisingly relatable. He talks about being a kid and his dad shows him this lambskin apron.
Okay.
Yeah, and, it's part of the Masonic tradition, and his dad tells him straight up that he's going to be buried in it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's an image that'll stick with you.
That's pretty intense. So did that, automatically make him want to become a Freemason himself?
Not exactly. He actually waited until he was 50. And even then, he kind of thought it might just be like a bunch of old guys, just hanging out.
Right.
But what he found instead was this whole vibrant community and the system of knowledge that was all centered around personal transformation and self-discovery.
So it's not just about secret handshakes and those shadowy rituals.
Yeah.
There's actually something deeper going on.
Right. It's about finding that hidden potential within ourselves. Duquette even hints at this with a story from when he was a younger guy.
Okay.
So he was a member of Demonology, which is kind of like a Masonic youth group. And he talks about discovering what he calls the royal secret, hidden in the lodge room.
A secret within a secret. Come on, you can't just leave us hanging like that. What was it?
Well, I don't want to spoil the surprise, but let's just say it involved a hidden compartment and shows how Duquette was always interested in uncovering these layers of meaning, even as a young man.
Oh, okay, I see. So we're starting to see how his personal experiences tie into this broader idea of Solomon's Key. But what about all that historical stuff? The Knights Templar, lost treasures, all that good stuff.
Oh, Duquette gets into all that too. He dives right into those popular theories about the Knights Templar and the idea that they possess some kind of dangerous secret.
Like a religious relic, maybe?
Right. Or maybe historical documents that could challenge the authority of the church, or even some kind of esoteric knowledge they picked up during their time in the East.
It's like something out of a Dan Brown novel.
It is. But how much of it is actually based in reality?
Versus, good storytelling.
Right.
That's the question, right?
Exactly. And Duquette doesn't pretend to have all the answers. He encourages us to think critically about these narratives. Just like while the Knights Templar might be shrouded in mystery, ultimately the power lies in the stories we tell and the beliefs we hold.
So it's not just about finding some literal treasure. It's about the power of belief itself.
Exactly. Now that leads us to a pretty interesting part of the book where Duquette explores the Bible and its role in Freemasonry.
Oh, that's a bit of a controversial topic, isn't it?
It can be. People might think there's a conflict there, the Bible versus secret knowledge. But Duquette frames it more like a dialogue. He even quotes Galileo, who said something like, God gave us reason, so we should use it.
I like that.
Yeah. It's about engaging with the Bible on a deeper, more symbolic level.
Kind of like how Freemasons use the story of Hiram Abiff to teach about death and resurrection, sacrifice and enlightenment.
Exactly. Hiram Abiff was that master builder of Solomon's Temple. And his story is central to Masonic ritual. But then Duquette throws this curveball. He brings up scholars who actually question the very existence of King Solomon and his temple.
Wait, are we saying that King Solomon might not have even been real?
That's what some scholars are saying, and it's definitely a controversial idea. But Duquette isn't trying to rewrite history. He's just inviting us to question what we think we know.
And to think about the power of belief, even if the historical accuracy is debatable.
Exactly. It's like he's saying, look, even if we don't know for sure if it all literally happened, the impact of these stories is undeniable.
Yeah, that makes sense. So speaking of things that might not be literally true, let's talk about one of the big accusations that's often thrown at Freemason sorcery and devil worship. How does Duquette handle that?
Well, he addresses it head on and with a good sense of humor. He sees these accusations as coming from a place of, fear and misunderstanding.
Yeah.
For Duquette, magic isn't about summoning demons or anything like that. It's more of a psychological art form. It's about tapping into the power of your own subconscious mind.
So it's more about mastering your inner demons than conjuring literal ones.
Exactly. He even tells this great story about learning to play guitar as a kid and frames it as a magical act.
Really?
Yeah. He says that by overcoming his procrastination and self-doubt, he basically conjured a real guitar.
That's a cool way to look at it.
It's about using your will and intention to achieve real-world results.
I'm starting to see how this all ties together. The personal journey, the historical mysteries, the power of belief, and even psychology mixed in with magic. It's a pretty fascinating mix.
It is. And now we're ready to tackle the heart of it all, Solomon's 7 secrets.
Okay, bring it on.
These are the core principles that Duquette says unlock not just Solomon's power, but our own potential for self-transformation and spiritual growth.
Okay, I'm ready to unlock those secrets.
All right. So the first secret is deceptively simple. The individual is the fundamental unit. It's a reminder that personal growth and transformation starts with you. You have to master yourself before you can effectively impact the world around you.
It's like that saying, be the change you want to see in the world.
Exactly. But it starts by looking inward first.
Yeah.
Okay, now the second secret is a bit more controversial. It's the idea that human beings are inherently good.
Hold on. Inherently good, with all the negativity and suffering in the world.
I know it sounds a little idealistic, but Duquette challenges us to see beyond the, often distorted lens of media and those cultural narratives that we're bombarded with. He's saying that while humans are capable of great darkness at our core, there's this fundamental goodness.
So it's about choosing to see the good in ourselves and others, even when it's tough.
Exactly. Now that brings us to the third secret, which builds on this idea of human potential. Human beings evolve and with intent can accelerate the evolutionary process.
So we're talking about spiritual evolution here.
Yeah, it's about recognizing that we're not static beings. We have this incredible capacity to grow, learn, and transform both individually and as a species. And by consciously directing our intentions and actions, we can actually speed up this process.
This is not just about letting life happen to us, but actively shaping our own evolution.
Exactly. Now get ready for this next one because it's a bit of a mind bender. The fourth secret is all is consciousness.
Whoa, okay. That's a big one.
It is. This secret gets into the idea that consciousness is the fundamental building block of reality.
So like some kind of universal mind that connects everything.
You got it. It's a concept that's been explored by mystics, philosophers, and even some modern-day scientists.
So we're not just separate individuals, but interconnected parts of this greater whole.
Precisely. Now that interconnectedness leads us to the fifth secret. The world is a hierarchy of repeating patterns.
Okay, patterns. Like what kind of patterns?
Think about the patterns you see in nature. The spirals of a seashell, the branching of a tree, the cycles of the seasons. Duquette's argument is that these patterns reflect this deeper order, a kind of cosmic blueprint that governs all of creation.
So there's like a hidden order beneath all the seeming chaos of the world.
Exactly. Now that brings us to the sixth secret, which you might have heard before. As above, so below.
Yeah, that one rings a bell.
This secret emphasizes the connection between the microcosm and the macrocosm, the individual and the universe. It suggests that by understanding the patterns and principles within ourselves, we can gain insights into the workings of the entire cosmos.
So it's like studying a single drop of water to understand the vast ocean.
Precisely. And finally, we arrive at the seventh secret, which is magic is the art and science of causing change and conformity with will.
Okay, so we're finally getting to the magic, but we're not talking about waving wands and casting spells, right?
Not in the traditional sense. Duquette defines magic as consciously using your will and intention to create change in the world. It's about understanding those underlying principles of consciousness and then using them to shape your reality.
So it's about aligning your desires with the forces of the universe to manifest your goals.
You got it. And that's the true power of Solomon's Key. It's about unlocking the magical potential that lies within each of us.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground. From Duquette's personal journey to those mind-blowing 7 secrets, it's amazing how it all ties together.
It is. And next time we'll delve into how these secrets are put into practice, particularly in the realm of spirit evocation.
Now that's a topic that sparks both fascination and fear.
Mm-hmm.
So stay tuned, folks. We'll be back soon to unpack it all. Okay, so last time we were talking about Milo Duquette and his book, The Key to Solomon's Key, and we kind of left off on this cliffhanger about spirit evocation.
Right.
So are we actually talking about, like, summoning spirits here? Like the real deal?
Duquette really dives into the practical side of magic in this book, even the stuff that might seem a little out there, like you said.
Okay.
So he introduces this book called The Lesser Key of Solomon. It's also known as the Goetia, and it's basically like a grimoire, a book of spells.
Okay.
And it details how to conjure 72 different spirits. Each spirit is associated with specific powers.
So it's like a magical Pokemon guide?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
But Duquette addresses the skepticism head on. He's actually pretty funny about it.
Okay.
He basically says magic is less about believing and more about doing.
Like, just try it and see what happens.
Exactly. It's about experimenting, seeing what works for you, and kind of pushing past those preconceived notions. It's not really a belief system. It's a system of practice.
So it's less about blind faith and more about rolling up your sleeves and getting your hands dirty.
Right. And even if you never actually try spirit evocation yourself, just understanding the process can be incredibly insightful.
How so?
Well, it reveals a lot about the power of symbolism and how our minds work, especially when it comes to the subconscious realm and that Duquette talks so much about.
Okay, so walk me through it. What are the steps involved in actually evoking a spirit?
Well, think of it like preparing for a really important event, but instead of inviting friends and family, you're inviting, supernatural entities.
Yeah.
First, there's preparation.
Yeah.
This involves things like purifying the space, creating a sacred circle and a triangle, kind of setting the stage and getting yourself in the right mindset.
So it's about creating the right atmosphere, not just saying the right words.
Exactly. The next step is consecrating your tools.
Like what kind of tools?
Duquette talks about using specific symbols like the hexagram and pentagram of Solomon.
Oh, wow. So those are actually used in real rituals. I always thought those just for fantasy novels.
Nope, they're real. And they play a key role in focusing your intention. It's like each symbol acts as a bridge between the physical and spiritual world.
Okay, so the tools help to kind of tune you into the right frequency.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Then with everything in place, you move on to the conjuration.
Which is?
This is where you actually recite the specific words of power, often invoking divine names to establish your authority and call forth the spirit.
So this is where the actual summoning happens.
Right. But then comes the really tricky part, communication.
Oh, boy.
You have to interact with the spirit, directly state your desires and intentions clearly and respectfully.
That would be terrifying.
Yeah, it's definitely not for the faint of heart. But remember, the magician has gone through all this preparation. They've consecrated their tools, invoked divine authority. It's not like they're just some random person calling up a spirit for kicks.
So it's about approaching it with confidence and respect, not fear.
Exactly. Then once the communication is complete, there's a banishing. The banishing, this sends the spirit back to its realm and the magician back to normal consciousness.
So it's like a carefully choreographed dance between the physical and spiritual worlds.
That's a great way to describe it. And throughout the whole process, Duquette stresses responsible and ethical practice.
Meaning?
He makes it clear that evocation isn't a game. Spirits aren't just tools to be used for personal gain.
So you have to be careful what you ask for.
Right. And that's where those 7 secrets we talked about come in. Remember, as above, so below.
Yeah, about the microcosm and macrocosm.
Well, in spirit evocation, that suggests your inner state, your thoughts, your emotions, your intentions are reflected in the spirit you conjure.
Oh, that's interesting. So if you go into it with like fear and negativity, you're more likely to attract a spirit that reflects those same qualities.
Exactly. And the opposite is also true. If you approach it with clarity, respect, and a strong sense of purpose, you're more likely to have a more positive and beneficial experience.
It's a good reminder that we're responsible for the energy we invite into our lives.
Absolutely. And that's one of the key takeaways from Duquette's whole exploration of spirit evocation. It's not just about some spooky ritual. It's a reflection of our own inner world and how we interact with the unseen forces around us.
Wow, this deep dive has been quite a journey so far. From historical mysteries and Masonic secrets to the power of belief and the potential of magic.
It's amazing how all these seemingly separate threads kind of weave together to create this bigger picture.
And at the heart of it all is this idea of Solomon's key, a way to unlock not just ancient secrets, but our own hidden potential.
Exactly. Now, speaking of ancient secrets, there's one more piece to this puzzle that we need to explore. The Clavicula Salomonis Regis. It's also known as the Key of King Solomon.
Okay, so now we're talking about an actual text.
Right. This is where things get really interesting. This is a grimoire that's actually attributed to King Solomon himself.
Wow.
It's said to contain the secrets to understanding and using Solomon's magic, and it's been influencing magicians for centuries.
Okay, so it's not just a metaphorical key anymore. It's a real book.
Exactly. And that's where we're headed next. So join us as we crack open this ancient text and discover the secrets it holds.
Okay, so we're finally here, ready to unlock the secrets of the Clavicula Salomonis Regis, the key of King Solomon.
This is the book that's been whispered about for centuries, supposedly containing the secrets to real power, like the ultimate guide to magic.
But is it really from King Solomon? I mean, we were just talking about how some scholars don't even think he existed.
That's true. There's a lot of debate about the book's origins. But whether it was written by Solomon himself or compiled later, it's had a huge influence on magical traditions for centuries.
It's kind of taken on a life of its own, regardless of where it really came from.
Exactly. And Duquette sees it as a valuable tool for understanding how magic has evolved and how those ancient principles can still be applied today.
So what kind of secrets are we talking about here? What's inside this book?
One of the key themes is this idea of aligning yourself with divine power, tapping into a higher source, a cosmic order, and using that connection to manifest your will in the world.
It's like that as above, so below principle again.
Right.
That connection between our inner world and the universe.
Exactly. And the Key of Solomon goes into detail about how to achieve that alignment through rituals, talismans, symbols.
It's interesting how a lot of those techniques are similar to things you see in Masonic rituals.
Yeah. There are definite parallels, which makes sense when you think about it. These traditions might have different origins, but they're all grappling with the same fundamental questions. How do we access power? What's our place in the universe? How do we live a meaningful life?
It's like there are different paths up the same mountain.
Right. And Duquette reminds us that the Key of Solomon shouldn't be taken literally. He encourages people to experiment and find what works for them.
So it's not about blindly following instructions. It's about adapting those principles to your own life and your own journey.
That's where Duquette's insights as a modern magician are so valuable. He bridges that gap between these ancient texts and modern life.
Like a translator for ancient magic.
And the biggest message he wants to get across is that magic isn't this superpower reserved for a select few. It's a potential that exists within all of us.
Which brings us back to that first secret. The individual is the fundamental unit.
Right. It all starts with you. You have the power to unlock your own potential.
Wow. This whole deep dive has been incredible. We've gone from historical mysteries and Masonic secrets to the power of belief and the potential of magic.
It's been quite a journey.
I feel like we've really unlocked some new levels of understanding.
I hope so.
And if you're listening and you want to learn more, I highly recommend checking out Milo Duquette's book, The Key to Solomon's Key. It's a great blend of history, personal experience, and practical magic.
And if you want more from Duquette, he's written a ton of other books. My Life with the Spirits gives you a really fascinating look at what it's like to be a practicing magician.
And if you're looking for something a little lighter, The Chicken Kabbalah of Rabbi Lamed Ben Clifford is a surprisingly insightful and hilarious take on Kabbalah.
It's a good one.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, keep unlocking those mysteries of the universe, both inside and out.
Duquette leaves us with one final thought to ponder. If the world is truly consciousness, what does that mean for how we understand reality, how we interact with each other, and how we create the world we want to live in?
That's a powerful question. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep seeking, keep learning, and keep unlocking your own unique potential.